So good morning, everyone, and welcome to the October 2024 HMIS user meeting. Again, if you haven't entered your name, please enter your name and your agency's name in the chat box. On the agenda today, we have the HMIS data standards change process. We have the HMIS Part 2 recertification update. We have keeping accounts active in HMIS. We also have updated HMIS consent form, HMIS account update and testing form in depth, the HMIS skills test and the HMIS Part 2 recertification test, the data quality report review, the CES assessment update, the project performance report, the data and performance management meeting, live update HMIS Part 2 training course, and then we'll leave time for Q&A and office hours. So first up, we have the HMIS data standards change. We would like to extend our hand for community support to gather feedback on proposed changes to the HMIS data elements. The HMIS data standards for fiscal year 2027 are starting to be updated. We are asking the community to provide any feedback on the data standards, and if you have any suggestions on adding options that aren't currently available in a data element, or something is missing in the data standards, please send your suggestions to your agency administrator, and they can submit a ticket to the HMIS help desk. And please support all proposed changes by May 31st, 2025. For additional information on the current data elements, review the data standards link that we have available on the slide, and I'm sure Elizabeth is adding it to our chat.
Yeah, thank you, Diana. The HMS data standard is added to chat, and there's no questions for this slide for this moment.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have the HMIS Part 2 recertification. The HMIS Part 2 recertification for 2024 has been completed. Users that did not complete the test by September 20th had their HMIS account set to inactive. If your HMIS account was set to inactive, you have until October 11th to complete the HMIS Part 2 recertification test. If you missed the October 11th deadline, you will need to retake HMIS Part 1 and Part 2 training courses in addition to the HMIS skills tests. This only applies to users that were on the HMIS Part 2 recertification list for 2024. I'll give everyone a moment to see if there's any questions.
Hi, this is Troy Shanker, Community Outreach for the City of San Clemente.
Hi, Troy. How are you?
I'm doing well. Happy Wednesday to everybody. I haven't gotten any email about that, but I wanted to make sure that my partner and I, who are both administrators, can verify that that is something that we do or do not have to do. How can I check that?
So when we started this whole process of the HMIS Part 2 recertification, we did notify all agency administrators if they had users that needed to take the test. If you did not receive that notification, then your users are fine.
Okay, yeah, cool. And like we had to both do it to become admins, so I just wanted to make sure there wasn't anything that we were falling short of. We want to keep HMIS happy.
Definitely. Thank you for your question.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, guys.
I have a question. So it's Carmen.
Hi,
So,
Carmen.
hi. Can I get this slide? Because I always have people who are stragglers, right? And I'm glad you guys have added on some additional consequences for not completing it on time. Can I have this slide, or can you send me? I just want this text so I can send it out one last time to everybody who has not completed the recertification per the first deadline.
Definitely. We can go ahead and provide this information to you, Carmen, for sure.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Hey, is there any other questions regarding this slide?
Thank you, Diana. I don't see any questions in the chat for this
Okay.
topic.
All right, so we'll move on. So we wanted to go over keeping accounts active in HMIS. The HMIS system will set user accounts to inactive if there's no activity within 60 days as a security measure. Users will receive an email notification prior to the 60-day mark asking the user to log on to HMIS. So as you can see on the right-hand side, there is an example of what the notification will look like. It will notify you when the account is going to be expired. It will give you the date, and it will also tell you the last time that you accessed HMIS. If you don't use HMIS that frequently, please set a calendar reminder to log into HMIS once a month to keep your account active. If you miss the deadline to log into HMIS before the 60th day, your account will be set to inactive, and you will have to, in order to have your account active again, you will need to retake HMIS Part 1 and Part 2 training courses, in addition to the HMIS skills tests. So it's really important to be mindful of this notification, because you'll have to go through the entire testing process again. The 60-day security measure also applies to the training site for your agency. If the training site account is set to inactive, the HMIS agency administrator will need to submit a HMIS help desk ticket so we can reactivate the account. But it's also a good rule of thumb for the training site as an agency administrator to put a calendar reminder to log in once a month. So I'll give it a few minutes if anyone has any questions regarding this slide. Okay, I don't think we have any, so I'll move on. Next, we have Hugo.
Good morning, everyone. Today I'll begin by talking about the client consent form updates. The final page of the HMIS consent to share protected personal information form has been updated to reflect changes in the roster of HMIS participating agencies. The form can be found on our website, ochmis.org, by navigating to HMIS Forms and Documents, HMIS Policy and Privacy Forms, Consent to Share Protected Personal Information. A complete list of all agencies that participate in OCHMIS can be found at the following link.
Okay, and we'll give it a minute or two for questions regarding.
Yeah, just real quick, is it the agency or our individual clients? Like there's a new form that our individual clients have to sign.
So this is the consent to share form. So it definitely is an update to what clients will be signing. Again, this is the last page that's updated, and it contains all of the active agencies throughout the county. So that's why we update it quarterly so that we can refresh the list of agencies.
You do not need to go back and re-sign consent forms. It would only be for new clients moving.
Yep, That's
Great, thank you.
correct.
We do print that last page up as it revises, just so the clients, when they come in, they see. So,
Okay, great. Thank you, Christine, for your question. And thank you, Erin, for clarifying. Any other?
And I wanted to share a note. There was a recent change to the consent form that we shared in our previous user meeting. I believe it was in September. There was a change to the word entity was updated to service provider and organization. So the consent form has been updated. So we do recommend reviewing our website and downloading, or sorry, always printing from the website as the form is updated, as Diana mentioned, on a quarterly basis for the agency list. But if there are changes to the form, it is also included on our website.
Okay, I think we can move on. Hugo?
HMIS account update and testing form in depth. So recently the HMIS help desk team has onboarded a few new agency administrators. So we wanted to take this time to do a very quick walkthrough of the HMIS account update and testing form. The HMIS account update and testing form is a multi-use form that HMIS agency administrators can utilize to create new HMIS user accounts or request updates to existing HMIS user accounts. The HMIS help desk will only accept and process account update and testing requests from certified agency administrators. This form can be found on our website by navigating to HMIS forms and documents, HMIS data and setup forms, HMIS account update and testing form. On the right-hand side of your screen, you can see what a copy of this form looks like. Next slide, please. So we have created this table that kind of gives a brief overview of each option listed in the HMIS account update and testing form and a descriptor indicating when a agency administrator should select that option. For example, the option new HMIS user, an agency administrator should select this option when they need to create a new HMIS account for a staff member. The user must have already completed the prerequisite trainings for their role per the OC HMIS onboarding process. If they're completing HMIS training again due to inactivity, agency administrators would need to select this option for a user to regain access to HMIS after an extended period of inactivity. The user must have already retaken HMIS Part 1 and 2 training courses and the HMIS Part 2 skills tests. If you need to add an HMIS user to your agency from a different agency, you would select this option to update their access role within HMIS. If you would need to add an HMIS user, elevate an HMIS user from regular staff member to agency administrator, you would select that option. If you would need to add an HMIS user to CES, you would select the option to request CES access for that user. That user must have already completed the CES training course prior to the account update request. CES requests are subject to approval by the CES leads. If a user is no longer employed at your agency or no longer requires HMIS as part of their primary job duties, then you would select that option to remove that user's access to HMIS.
Is there the ability to put little eyes on the account update form so that when you're on these options on the right-hand side, the information that you have on this slide when you're on the options that are on the left-hand side of the screen and you can hover over a little eye, the information that you have on the right-hand side will show up. Is that possible? Basically, I'm asking that we not have to, or maybe there's somewhere else that can be posted so we don't have to refer to an outside document to know which one to select.
Thank you for your your suggestion, Carmen. We'll have to look into it regarding how the form is set up if we're able to add that option. If we're not able to add that option, then we'll have some sort of identifying thing that you can, like a link or something that you can click on to get that information. Okay?
Okay, thanks.
Uh-huh. Thank you, Carmen. Okay, Hugo, are you ready to demo?
Yes, I am ready to demo. Diana, can you stop screen sharing for a quick moment?
Yep, you're ready to go.
Thank you. I just want to confirm that everyone can see my screen right now. I should be on the HMIS account update and testing form.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Great. So for those of you who have never used the HMIS account update and testing form before, this is essentially what it looks like. At the very top of the form page, you have very basic general agency information, such as the agency name, agency administrator name, agency administrator email, and we also have included an option to forward any replies from 211 OC to another email address. This is useful in cases when you are creating an account for a user at your agency, where our reply will automatically be forwarded to that user as well. In this following section, you can see the account update and testing form for a specific user. We require that you input the user's full name at the top of the form, as well as that HMIS user's email address. Here is the box of options that you can select for a specific account update and testing request. For example, if you wish to create a new HMIS account for a staff member at your agency, you would select a new HMIS user option. As you can see, a following field populates. Has this user ever had an HMIS account at any agency that has participated or is participating in OC HMIS? It is very important that you select the correct option for your specific client's needs, because we do recommend that each user has a unique account within HMIS so that we can limit the potential ability for duplicate user accounts. If you were to select yes, you would also need to select which agency that user has had an HMIS account with previously. The following box that populates will also ask you for the role that that user needs. In this instance, we are selecting HMIS user. If an HMIS user requires CES access, you can then select whichever CES access role is most appropriate for that user. For example, individual coordinated entry system. And then a follow-up question will appear asking you what that user's primary role is at your agency. At the very bottom of the page, you can see skills test information for new user account requests. And you will also see a little box populate for a copy of that user's program roster report. At the very end of the form, you can also see an option to add new account update and testing information for additional users.
That, Hugo. Let me go ahead and go back to Sharon. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. Did we have any questions regarding the HMIS account update and testing form?
We had a question that is similar to that topic. We had a question: if a user loses access to their HMS account, is there an option to review this? And our response would be, if a user loses access to their HMS account and your agency and user don't know why their account was locked, please go ahead and have the HMS agency admin submit a ticket, and our HMS help desk will support with investigating and providing an update on why their account was either set to inactive or was locked.
Okay, thank
And we
you for
Thank you, Diane. We actually just got another question coming in if this table will be made available. And yes, as Diana mentioned, we're going to look into seeing if there's a possibility of adding it to the form. But this table and slides will be available on our website once we upload the recorded training and materials.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
I have another question. So, can you go back to the form, the update form, please?
Okay, let me go ahead and stop sharing. Hugo, would you mind sharing, please?
So for the scroll, yeah, wait, yeah, right there. So where it says list any other email addresses to send a notification when this account is created. How many emails can I add? And if I can add more than one, what's the separator? A comma or a semicolon or what? Or I can only add one?
I believe you can add more than one. This is a simple text box. So, probably best practice is a semicolon, or a comma, just something that denotes the different, emails that you would like us to notify.
Okay, thank you.
Let me go back to sharing my screen. And you should be able to see my screen again. Okay.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, do we have any more questions or can we move on?
Yes, we can move on. Thank you, Diana.
Oops. All right, next up we have Michaela.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. The topic would be HMIS skills test and HMIS Part 2 recertification test. The HMIS help desk has been getting some confusion around these skills tests, and I want to elaborate the difference between the two. So the HMIS skills test should be used for new users or inactive users that need to create or reactivate their HMIS account again. The HMIS Part 2 recertification test should only be used during the yearly recertification. The form will have an embedded link to the test instructions. Although they both list similarities, inputting the incorrect information can lead to incorrect scores, and we want to make sure that we avoid this by using the correct form. We do have the difference of both forms over to the right if you would like to take a look at those as well.
Okay, we'll leave a minute for questions.
Questions coming in for this topic.
Okay, thank you, Elizabeth. You're up, Elizabeth.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. There will be some reports rolling out in the next couple of months, so we wanted to notify all of our users to prepare to review some draft data. Data quality report cards will be sent out along with LSA preparation data the week of October 7th. There will be additional details how to review the draft data and how to identify errors. For the data quality report card, the reporting period is July 1st, 2024 to September 30th, 2024. And you'll see on the right-hand side a table that helps you identify data responses that are flagged either client doesn't know, client prefers not to answer, and if it's highlighted in gray, it's missing, and if it's highlighted in that bright pink, it's going to be a data accuracy issue. And we are asking agency admins to work with your team to review all the data responses that are flagged with these colors to ensure that if it is an error, to please go ahead and correct that in Clarity. Regarding the LSA report, the reporting period is October 1st, 2023 to September 30th, 2024. And we're going to send over some common LSA errors and warnings. And for our community, the common errors and warnings are related to relationship to head of household, errors with start and exit date and deadlines, and overlapping enrollments. With overlapping enrollments, we would need your agencies to review and verify that project start and exit are accurate and move-in dates, and providing explanation of the warning of overlapping. And there may be issues with bed inventory that leads to utilization and length of stay. So please keep an eye out. We'll be sending out a newsletter with additional information about the errors and draft data you'll be reviewing.
Give it a minute for any questions.
Diane, I don't think I see any questions right now.
Okay.
And we just wanted to provide an update. There has been an update to the CS assessment. You'll see on the screen, there are additional labels under each housing opportunity, under rapid rate housing, after housing choice voucher, and under parent supportive housing. It's going to provide additional context on what these opportunities are, the time of the rental assistant, if there is support with supportive services, and the goal of each program. So this is to provide users and participants additional information and guidance to select the opportunity the participant would like to be considered for. And there's an update to the accessibility needs. The labels as seen on the screen, it's going to be in the caps light gray text that has been also updated. All this updates have been is live as of today. And we're going to also include the updated paper version of the assessment into the chat.
Give it a minute if anyone has any questions.
And wanted to thank our CS lead and admins team for their support in receiving feedback and working on these updates to include this additional information. I believe there might have been a question.
Yes, this is Christine DeLeon, Orange County Housing. Just on the section where it says permanent supportive housing, it has a couple of options, but it says ongoing rental assistance and then ongoing voluntary supportive services. I'm assuming permanent supportive is us and the other places that have permanent supportive. Do you know what those represent? What grants or projects or?
Clarify
Who is that
asking-
pointed to on our side is what I'm trying to figure out.
Oh, the supportive services part?
Mhm.
Yes, that will be the providers that are partner with OCHA that provide supportive services. There are some agencies that also provide PSH, so it would be agencies that are providing the supportive case management service part.
Okay, so that's why there's a couple of different definitions. I'm guessing that's what the data underneath the tab is.
Yes, underneath the tab is providing a little bit more context about each housing opportunity.
Thank you.
When did you say this was going live, Diana?
This
Sorry, Elizabeth, go.
I'm sorry, I forget. I lost track of who was talking.
No worries at all. This is actually live as of this morning. So if you are completing a new CS assessment for new participants that your access point is in contact with, you'll see these updates. So you can also open a previous assessment and you'll also see these updates as well.
So, what should we do for people who have already had an assessment that's less than a year old? Do we reassess them to pick up these new questions, or to better define some of the things they've previously answered? And the second part of that question is, will this updated assessment going to affect for next week or this Friday's priority list?
I just wanted to notify, Diana, could you hover over the labels that's in gray? Yeah, so these are just labels, so the assessment itself has not changed. It's just including additional information to help providers and participants understand the different housing opportunities available. For participants who are already assessed, the guidance is that only a new assessment would be entered if their housing if there are changes to their housing preference. And since there is additional information, we do recommend speaking to the CS lead for their guidance. But if this information is helpful for the participants to understand the different option they can choose from, it is helpful for your team to provide that additional information. And if we do have any members from the CS lead or CS admin team, please feel free to provide additional guidance.
I can speak on behalf of the individual CES team. For participants, I think that are especially reporting maybe changes in their ADA status, or maybe now that there's additional information around the housing preferences. I think it is easy enough to go back in and edit the housing preferences under the assessment. Those were already there, but if you want to, I think, consider completing a new assessment, I would recommend that you first remove them from the community queue and then complete a new assessment with those questions. That way we avoid accidentally, completing a new assessment and their community queue referral is not linked to that most recent assessment. So that would probably be my guidance in those situations if it's really affecting their housing interests, or especially if they have ADA needs, then we need to capture those and it's important for their housing safety and well-being, then we would definitely want that information to be captured. So would prefer that we go back and reassess, but first remove them from the community queue and then reassess them with the new assessment.
Thank you, Amy. That's good information.
Thank you, Carmen, for your question.
Yeah, thank you, Carmen, for your question, and thank you, Amy, for your support. Diana, I don't think I see any other questions in the chat.
Okay, so we'll move on. Michaela? Oh, wait, Hugo, sorry. Hugo.
Project Performance Reports. The Project Performance Report, PPR for Permanent Supportive Housing, PSH, will be published on the OCHMIS website in the upcoming weeks. Current and past PPRs can be found on our website, ochmis.org, by navigating to Reports and Project Performance Reports. Corrections for the Rapid Rehousing PPR draft data have already been uploaded into Dropbox. The Project Performance Overview is a helpful document which provides important information regarding the PPRs, including the thresholds for each goal and our publishing schedule.
So those links to that information will be available in the chat. Kayla, got it right this time.
Data and performance management meeting. So this is just a reminder that the meeting will be held on Wednesday, November 13th from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. We did provide the Zoom link as well, and in our November user meeting, we'll provide more details about the meeting agenda. Diana, do you mind if I take the screen from you for a second?
Yep, let me go ahead and stop sharing. Okay.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to briefly go over how to navigate towards our calendar. So here we are on our OC HMIS website. We would love to use these helpful links here, which list the OC HMIS calendar over to your left. When selecting so, it'll bring you to October, so you want to slide to November of 2024. It does list our training on November 13th. If hovering over the link here, you can see that it provides the description, meaning the Zoom link, as well as the time and date for the meeting. So just in case if you do not receive this email, I just wanted to give you an additional way to be able to find the link for the data and performance management meeting.
Kayla. Share my screen again. Okay. So moving on to our next topic. Michaela?
Live HMIS Part 2 training course. The HMIS Help Desk team will be presenting a live HMIS 2 training course session on Wednesday, October 30th at 10 a.m. A reminder, the newsletter with more details will be sent out the week of the training.
Kayla?
Is that going to be in person or via Zoom?
It's going to be via Zoom. So when we send out our newsletter regarding the training, we'll provide information on how to join the Zoom meeting. Thank you, Christine.
So we did have a question. What's the purpose of the part 2 training? So we just wanted to provide a little bit more context for users who take the online. Sorry, there's a follow-up question. Is it different from the HMS user part 2? Thank you. So this is for us to provide additional guidance and do live demos of the HMS Part 2 online course. So for users who complete the online course and the skill test, the live training is additional resources where our team will be going over demos to provide guidance and users have the opportunity to also ask questions in the live training for us to go over any additional steps that they may have questions about that's discussed in the HMS Part 2 training.
Just to add, this would not replace the requirement to complete the online Part 2 course. This is just an optional training for anyone that wants additional support or refresher on any topics.
Elizabeth and Aaron for clarifying. Are there any other questions? Okay, I don't believe there are, so this kind of brings us to the end of our October user meeting. So we want to open it up to the community and ask if you had any questions regarding the slides that we presented today and the topics. Although you guys have been very interactive today, and I appreciate that. But if you have any additional questions regarding the slides, please feel free to enter in the chat or unmute yourself. And also, if you haven't already done so, please enter your name and your agency's name in the chat box for attendance.
Diana, I have a question regarding that live HMIS Part 2 training. So, I think you already provide links somewhere to say, this is a good resource or something like that, if my memory serves me correctly. My question is, will you be turning this live? Will you be recording it and making a YouTube video out of it?
Yes, we definitely will. And so this would be a great opportunity for, say, for example, if you don't have a new user can't attend, then this is something that they could definitely review on their own and get a little bit more information about HMIS Part 2 and HMIS in general. Thank you for that, Carmen. It looks like our questions are sort of slowing down. So I wanted to say thank you very much for joining us today and have a great day. Our next user meeting will be on Wednesday, November 6th. So we'll see you all then. Thank you. Have a great day.
And for those who want to stay on, we'll be hosting all